How's it going, guys? Welcome to my Blu-ray pickups haul update. Got a huge stack of releases this time around, about 18 titles in total, including brand new releases and a bunch of catalog titles as well. But first, let's take a look at a brand new release from Salma Hayek called Beatriz at Dinner. So in this film, Salma plays a massage therapist who drives to people's homes to give them treatments and whatnot. And one of her clients happens to be this really wealthy woman who lives in this beautiful mansion with her husband that, overlooks the ocean. So as she's about to leave their home, her car doesn't start. So this wealthy woman decides to have Beatriz stay for dinner since she's basically stuck there anyway until a tow truck arrives. So when dinner time approaches, a few guests arrive to join them for dinner, and that's when Beatriz begins to feel out of place being surrounded by the wealthy, as the guests sort of ignore her and they just basically look down at her. So without giving away too much, the story begins to unfold from there, and I gotta say, Salma Hayek gave a great emotional performance, unlike anything you've ever seen her do before. It's definitely worth a watch, although I really hated the ending. Everything else was great up until that ending, and by the way, this also co-stars John Lithgow, who plays a real prick in this. So this movie is only available as a DVD release. You can't get this on Blu-ray. So anyway, that's Beatriz at Dinner, and the aspect ratio for this film is in the 1.85 format. And my next pickup is a brand new Criterion release called Rebecca, starring Laurence Olivier, and it's beautifully directed by Alfred Hitchcock, released in 1940. And this happens to be Hitchcock's first motion picture that he directed here in the States. All the ones before this were shot in England. So this is a 2-disc set. Both of the discs are on Blu-ray. So you get a bunch of supplements on disc 2. Get a great booklet here included as well, as Criterion always provides. And yeah, great release to pick up. And I'm sure many people are going to wait probably for the November Barnes & Noble, 50% off sale for that one. And next up is another Criterion release, which has been out of print for many years, and that is Le Cercle Rouge, starring the great Alain Delon, released in 1970. Probably one of the greatest crime thriller films ever made. And if you can get your hands on this one, if you don't own it yet, go ahead and do so. But it is going to cost you a pretty penny, I must add. But incredibly well-made film, man. It's just one of those films that has a lot of replay value. It never gets old. Moving along, my next pickup is Disney's The Lion King, which is re-released now as part of the Walt Disney Signature Collection. So if you didn't own the previous edition that went out of print, this is definitely the one that you should grab. It contains a few supplements. Other than that, it's the same picture and audio quality. But yeah, what a beautiful story. And for these next releases, I was getting into that film noir mood, so I thought I'd pick up a few more titles that I didn't previously own. So I ended up getting Scarlet Street, starring a great Edward G. Robinson, released by Kino. And Kino recently announced they're also going to release The Woman in the Window, fourth quarter of this year in 2017. So definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, this is just a great noir, man. It grabs your attention from beginning to end. So if you've never seen this one, do give it a try. Also got The Big Combo, another great one, which I hadn't seen in such a long time. And finally, The Strange Love of Martha Ivers, starring the great Barbara Stanwyck. And also Kirk Douglas makes his feature film debut in this movie. And next up is the 80s classic starring Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolf, basically the film he hates the most. He's always talked bad about this one. And at one point he mentioned that, there's Steven Spielberg down the street and I'm over here making wolf movies. But yeah, he disliked this film so much that he refused to come back for the sequel in Teen Wolf 2. But I'm glad he didn't, because that movie sucked anyway. But yeah, you get a bunch of new material with this one. And yeah, this is released by Scream Factory. Next up is a Jack Nicholson classic, and that is Prizzi's Honor, also co-starring Kathleen Turner, Angelica Houston, and it's directed by John Huston. So yeah, this is released by Kino, and I heard the transfer for this isn't that great, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, really glad to see this on Blue. Also ended up getting About Schmidt, starring Jack Nicholson. And yeah, this is just beautifully directed by Alexander Payne, one of my favorite directors, who also directed Sideways. So that's the discard on that. Yeah, can't wait to revisit this one. Moving along, my next pickup is the greatest film of Barbra Streisand's career, and that is Funny Girl, also co-starring Omar Sharif. And at one point, Streisand once mentioned that if one of her films could be placed into a time capsule, Funny Girl would be it. That's how much she absolutely adored this film. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful musical comedy, and it's directed by the great William Wyler, who directed one of the greatest epic films of all time, which is Ben-Hur. And at one point, Wyler didn't want to actually direct this film because he was slightly deaf in one of his ears. So he was mentioning that I'm going to have a hard time directing a musical when I can't really hear good. But they eventually convinced him to direct this, and I'm really glad they did, because it just turned out to be a really beautiful movie. And for these next new releases, I've done full reviews for them on my channel, so you can definitely look there for more info. Got Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman, really great action-adventure movie, and a great addition to the DC universe. And next is the Mummy reboot starring Tom Cruise. And yeah, this film is a mixed bag. I really liked the first half, but just completely disliked the second half. And yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea. It went in a whole different direction. And yeah, it was just unfortunate because, it's a Tom Cruise film, and I absolutely love him as an actor. Guy always does his stunts. But yeah, if you're a fan of Tom, give it a try. But, it may not be for everybody. And next up is a silent film classic from 1925, and that is The Lost World, released by Flicker Alley. And what an incredible restoration job that they did for this release. And yeah, because this film disappeared from circulation in 1929, and only abridged editions of this film were available that had a really short runtime, about 60 minutes in length. But this restored edition has brought this film back to life, and now you can see it in its entirety at an hour and 44 minutes in length. And yeah, you could definitely check out the full review on my channel. So if you're a fan of cinema, this is definitely worth your time. This is just a great achievement for Hollywood, the early days of Hollywood, that is. Also picked up the television series Lethal Weapon, the complete first season, which is a reboot of the film series starring Damon Wayans. And honestly, I didn't think I would like this one, but it turned out to be really funny, and it's action-packed, definitely worth your time. And season 2 actually got picked up on Fox, so you can check that out at the end of this month in September. But yeah, if you haven't seen the first season, check it out. And finally, got a few releases from Arrow. Got the psychological thriller The Ghoul, which is pretty damn good, man. Definitely worth your time on that. Also, the classic epic Eric the Conqueror. And last but not least, the film noir from 1955 starring Jack Palance and Ida Lupino in The Big Knife. And this is released by Arrow Academy. So that's it for this week, guys. A huge stack of releases. So as usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon in my next update. Take care.